Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Rohr Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 126. Hey, Josh Rohr, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, Laura. Thanks for asking. Nice cat.
Yes, she's making a cameo today.
So we have a few things, deadlines, events, etc. coming up. The deadline to run for Georgia State Chair is January 28th, Saturday. So if you are interested in throwing your hat in the ring for the elections, definitely get that information into the national office by January 28th. Another deadline, if you're interested in signing up for our training app, you have until Saturday the 28th to get your first month for only $1.
Pretty good deal.
Oh, and we talked about this last week. By we, I mean me. I just added your training program that you used for the 2018 Worlds to the app that people can follow now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. You're like, I don't care.
No,
So,
I think it's great.
people always ask like what our lifters are doing that are lifting at that level. And I'm like, well, join the app and find out.
There you go.
And it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, different lifters are doing different programs, and shoot, even your programs from Worlds to Worlds has been different. So that's the one, that was the last one you did. You won best lifter as well. So put that up there.
So it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I don't think you should post is the one that I trained for high volume when we were doing the squat challenge, where every week was, hey, let's just get as many reps as we can at, I think it was like 80% double body weight and then 90% double body weight. Yeah, that was a brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's painful.
Yeah. So
Good times.
Amy did the squat challenge last year, and we ended up just not training for it at all. We just like showed up and did it.
And she probably did it just as good as I did, so it's fine.
I'm trying to remember how many reps she got, but she won. But I can't remember how many total she got. But yeah, I think you got more. So I think it would have probably benefited us to train for it a little bit. But she was also lifting in the full meet at the Arnold.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a little bit more important. So we figured, let's not go too crazy here.
Yeah. I think that year I ended up doing the squat challenge and then the that other bench meet where it was max reps at I think for women it was 3/4 body weight.
At the Arnold?
No, not the Arnold. At that Billy Keel's
reps on the river. It was the
reps on the river.
Christmas in July fundraiser.
That's right.
Talladega, I think. No, was it
right.
Talladega? Somewhere in Alabama.
Yeah, right. But it was like 2 events in a row where there was like for max reps. I'm like, who am I? What is happening right here?
Yeah.
But I did 42 reps and I don't know how I don't think I could do the bar 42 times now. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet I could do the bar 42 times.
I challenge you, Josh.
Oh man.
Why?
So anyway, we're still on the topic of deadlines here, or events. So January 28th, Saturday, the Special Olympics Southeast Powerlifting meet is happening at the Atlanta Marriott Northwest in Marietta, Georgia. So if you have nothing to do, they're still looking for volunteers. I believe you can reach out to Becky Holcomb. She's the co-chair of USAPL Georgia. But another January 28th is my 40th birthday. So
no way.
So what I'm going to do, I'm actually bringing Emma to the meet, probably like, I don't know, sometime late morning to take her to her first powerlifting meet.
For your birthday.
For my birthday. That's what I feel like doing.
Nice.
That's the start of it. There's going to be more later in the day, but that's what I'm going to do in the morning. And I was thinking about it, like, to me, that's like the perfect meet to take. I mean, obviously she's too young to remember this, so she's not going to remember any of it, but I don't know if you've never been to a Special Olympics powerlifting meet, like And we've briefly talked about it before, but it's like for me, it's almost like it's everything I've been missing in powerlifting, like just the pure joy of doing it for no other reason than to be doing it.
Yep,
So
I agree. It's always a great meet.
everybody there, like coaches, lifters, referees, they're all just like, it's like pure joy. I love it.
Mhm.
Shifting gears, this is something that came up the other day. Times I've hated powerlifting. I don't remember where this came up, but there's really only been 2 times that I've really like hated powerlifting. And I think the first one was 2007, kind of right after I got out of college. I did my first open nationals, placed second to Dave Ricks. And then the following week, I hurt my back for the first time ever. And I was so like wrapped up in powerlifting as being my like identity that I didn't do any like rehab. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do anything. I just like, looking back, I was probably like depressed, but it took like a long time for me to not be in pain and all these things. And I think that was something that just caught me off guard, I guess, and I wasn't prepared for. Specifically, just having some sort of balance in life, I guess, because that was like my entire life at that point. So it was like I didn't know what to do with myself. I guess you can say I hated powerlifting at that point. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but it's I wasn't enjoying life at that point in time, I guess. And then the second one, I don't know why this came up. I don't know why we're even talking about it, but whatever. Just because we were talking about loving powerlifting just for the fun of it, I'm like, oh, I gotta talk about the opposite side. The other time was leading up to, but specifically during and immediately following Raw Nationals in 2016, because that was such a huge undertaking, and I was not very good at delegating things. Like I wanted to do everything myself, and I just remember. So like even now, like when people bring up Raw Nationals, or they're like, "Man, I remember, that was one of the best meets I ever been to." Like that's something I'm proud of, but like even them saying that just like takes me immediately back to like the misery of that I was experiencing during that time. Like so, literally, I've never told anybody this. Every night after lifting got done, like I'd go back up to my room like it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and literally I just laid on the floor and cried like every single night. Like I was just so exhausted. It was the worst. Like I'm definitely like happy and proud of how the meet went, but like those are the things that I think made it miserable for me. And even like a month or two after, like I didn't want to talk about powerlifting. I didn't want to hear about anybody, you know, talking about powerlifting, even other meets. Like I was just like completely destroyed from it. And
Wasted.
yeah, and that got me thinking a little bit, kind of like, where's the balance of things? Because there's no reason that either one of those scenarios should have wrecked me that bad. But I wrapped up so much into it. Like I think even for Raw Nationals, like I wrapped up my everything into making that like the biggest, baddest, best meet ever. And quite honestly, like there was a lot of things in my opinion that didn't go exactly how I wanted. And that made it even worse because I wanted everything to be exactly perfect. And there was a lot of, little things that did not go exactly perfect. And, so I think again, where I'm going with all this is like, I think it's important to find some sort of balance and not wrap your entire life like into being the absolute best all the time, or not even that. That's not the right way to say it. Not making it 100% of your identity, like 100% of the time, which I'm going to bring up a few things here. So like, that's something that Jen Thompson talks about. Like, if you want to be the best, like she says, you got to be 95% of your best 95% of the time. And I think that's a pretty good way of looking at it, because if you're trying to be 100% of your best all the time, like that's never going to work. Giving yourself that balance and or ability to like turn it off a little bit, I think is good. And I saw another quote that I thought was pretty interesting. It was the rule of thirds, and it was told to Alexi Pappas. I don't know who this person is, but she was an Olympian. Her coach told her, and she said, whenever you're chasing a big dream, you're supposed to feel good a third of the time, okay a third of the time, and crappy or not great a third of the time. And if you feel roughly in those ratios, it means in fact you are chasing a dream. If you feel too good all the time, you're not pushing yourself enough. If you feel too fatigued, you might be burning out or having a mental health challenge and need to reevaluate. And I just thought that was interesting because especially like, I guess maybe everywhere, but in powerlifting, like you see when somebody has a bad workout, they're like it really brings them down and like they take it to heart sometimes. And I think, if you look at it, I think a lot of lifters at that high level, they probably could break this down into the rule of thirds, I think, and it's probably pretty accurate. But, anytime things don't feel great or feel even okay, they associate feeling okay with feeling crappy. And, you got to have room for that feeling crappy sometimes too, to whatever. I don't really know where I'm going with this. It's kind of been on my mind just because, and having some conversations with some of our lifters too, like, trying not to, make it too serious where somebody gets burnt out and doesn't want to do it anymore. Like if somebody wants to quit powerlifting because they just aren't enjoying it anymore or they have other things going on, that's fine. But I guess as a coach, like I don't want to be the reason they don't like it anymore. If we're just pushing too hard, trying to get to that next goal, like too fast, or maybe not setting realistic goals where, you're always falling short of your goals and you just get frustrated. I mean, I think there's a lot there, and I don't know. Apparently it's been on my mind because I just brought it up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can identify with that, and it's putting all of your like your identity, like who you think you are, into that, because it, like you said, if you hurt yourself, then where are you? Are you not,
Right?
Worthwhile anymore? Like it can really kind of give you a, I don't know, self-esteem hit. At the end of the day, it's a sport, and we're trying to have fun. And I think at some point I took it too seriously too. So yeah, there's definitely a word of caution there. I don't know. The one good thing I have to say is I had I have a friend who's a weightlifter, and she went to a meet recently down in Miami to compete. And after she competed, she was like, "Yeah, well, I just got to sit back and I watched all the weightlifters lift in prime time." And I was like, "Oh, really? Weightlifting has a prime time?
Hmm.
Wonder where they got that idea."
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah. So Joshua's legacy.
Maybe, or maybe that's just something somebody came up with on their own, not knowing.
Could be, and they happen to call it the exact same thing. Huh, weird. Coincidence? I guess it could be, but
Either way, I like it.
yeah. But I think, I know that meet nationals 2016 was really hard on you, and it was a lot. That was a lot going on, and just the stuff that you had to go through for the venue change and lawyers and yeah, I remember being with you somewhere. I think we're at nationals Colorado when all that was going on, and you were having like phone calls with lawyers, and I was just like, oh my god, I feel sick to my stomach just listening to this.
And that's funny because
Oh,
that's not even the misery I remember. Like
really?
yeah, I mean, I obviously I
Oh,
know that happened, but like when I think of Raw Nationals, like that doesn't even pop up in my head anymore. Like that wasn't the worst of it. It was
yeah.
just the lack of sleep and,
Yeah.
every little detail not going exactly right. And me trying to control that was the big problem. I was trying to control every little detail. And, that's impossible to do on a one platform local meet. Trying to do that on a 5 platform, 3 session, 4 day national meet is impossible.
Right.
And I was trying to do too much of that, and it doesn't work. So,
Do you feel like you're less of a control freak now?
I do, but I don't know if that's because I'm not running meets or if that's because I've actually, I don't know. I think I am less of a
Matured
control. Well, I don't know about that,
a
but I
little bit?
think maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm less of a control freak, but those are things that it's just, I want to be perfect, and I run myself into the ground trying to make everything perfect. And then because of that, it ends up being worse off than it probably would have been had I just not taken it quite so seriously.
Yeah. So right now in the powerlifting world, there's a few things going on that are kind of gross. I don't know. There's a lot of drama right now. Probably it just seems like more so than normal. Within the last, I don't know, like 4 days, just there's been a lot going on with USPA and some of the meltdown there with some of the allegations of sexual misconduct and not doing background checks, and yeah, some big heavy things going on there. And then just in USAPL having seeing these conversations going back and forth with Powerlifting America. So it's like that's part of the thing that I kind of don't like about powerlifting right now. Like it like I always thought USPA had a place, even though they're not USA Powerlifting. Like cool, they have their place, but there's just a lot of drama. And I know like with anything that people do, that people are involved with, there's always going to be drama. I mean, like we've been in like a dog club and we had dog club drama. I mean, there's just always drama, but right now there's just seems to be a lot going on. It gets to be, I don't know. Part of me just wants to sit back and eat popcorn and scroll on social media and just be like, whoa, that's going on. Holy shit.
So I've heard a little bit here and there, and I've intentionally like tried not to. I mean, I at some point I need to know, be current what's going on. And I guess as a podcast talking about it, I should have probably looked into it, but it's just like, yeah, it's disheartening, and I want to take a few days before I just really sit down and take it all in what's going on. So I don't really know. So whatever we're talking about, I'm not fully aware of. I'm aware to a degree. I'm just not fully sure what's happening. So
yeah. Well, I mean, the one that I did see and was following pretty closely was the state meet up in Pennsylvania with Powerlifting America, making a post saying, hey, look at our meet and let's compare it to the state meet with USA Powerlifting, and like a table with comparison. And I'm like, that's just weird to me. That's just weird. That's kind of just like, why wouldn't you just, I don't know, say what you are, not trying to compare it to anyone else, or make somebody else sound less than. Like, are we really there?
Let me guess. That was Steve Mann, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shocking.
And yeah, and some of it was just like, well, we're compliant with water testing, and like, well, yeah, I guess that's true when you don't test. It's just like, it's just some really kind of weird and petty things. It's like, wow, powerlifting, that whole family is, yeah, whatever happened to the love of the sport? And now we're watering down with like federations and drama, and I wonder why we're not going to be in the Olympics. But there you go. We can talk about it another week after you've caught up on the drama, if you've been wanting to engage with the drama.
Oh, now I'm like almost depressed again. Like, I don't know if I'm going to go through. Whatever.
Whatever. Back to what's awesome about powerlifting.
Yep. We talked about it a little bit last week. I keep saying we. Somebody stood me up. How are you feeling? You feeling better, by the way?
I am feeling better. Thank you. Didn't stand you up. I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Guess I should be clear about that.
Yes. So you just sat here and talked to yourself for half an hour? Is that what you did?
Yeah. Well, it was like 10 minutes. It was pretty short. Nobody corrected me. Nobody kept me on track. Nobody, so I'm not sure how it turned out, really.
Nice.
Yeah. But I rambled to myself. I did talk about a little bit how to get a pro card last week. And one thing I wanted to just kind of go over is the pro series schedule. So it's going to be different for each category. So for example, in raw full power meet, if you're a raw full power lifter, the pro series in last year was a bunch of different events, but in 2023, there's only 3 events. There's the Arnold, Raw Nationals, and the Virginia Pro. And that's for pro lifters and masters pro lifters. So those are your 3 meets. And the part that I'm still getting questions about is nationals is a required meet. So if you want to contend in the pro series, you in the raw division, you have to do raw nationals, like have to, like there's no way around that. Furthermore, you have to get your pro card. So if you want to be ranked in the pro series, you have to have your pro card, and then you have to do nationals plus one of the other pro meets. The other pro meets being, again, Arnold or Virginia Pro. So the different ways to get your pro card we talked about last week, you can listen to that, but essentially you don't have as many options this year. So you're going to have to compete. Like there's not going to be like a real easy path to get first place points. Like you're going to have to compete, and only the best lifters are going to earn those points and make it to the finals. So that's the Raw Pro Series. The Equipped Full Power Pro Series, it's the Arnold Equipped Nationals, and there's a pro meet in the fall that's yet to be scheduled, but it's not going to be the Virginia Pro. It's going to be a separate pro meet, and that should be available soon. And that's, again, Masters and Open. And then bench only, it's the Arnold, Bench Nationals, and the pro meet to be scheduled yet. So the pro meet in the fall, if you're a raw lifter, is going to be the Virginia Pro. If you're an equipped lifter or bench only, it's going to be that pro series meet that's yet to be scheduled. But in all of those, nationals is required. So raw nationals or equipped nationals if you're equipped, or if you're in the bench pro series, the bench nationals is required. So don't miss out on doing that meet. And if you don't have a pro card at the time of nationals, that's also fine, because that is the main meet where you can earn your pro card. So, a lot of lifters were saying, well, I don't have a pro card yet, I'm not going to do nationals. Well, that's your best chance to get a pro card. So, and it's required to be in the series. So it's kind of like, if you don't do nationals, that's just negligence on your part. So don't complain about it later. All right, let's move on. Music. We said we're going to do the top 5 driving songs. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open up that submission form on Wednesday, the day this podcast comes out, and we'll give everybody till February 4th. Is that too soon?
That's a little soon.
All right.
Doesn't give me time to do my research.
How about this? February 14th, Valentine's Day is the deadline.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Easy to remember.
Yep. Have your songs submitted by Valentine's Day. We will put everybody anonymously into a tournament, and the best list will win something. We don't know yet. If you are listening and you are a company that wants to sponsor the podcast and give away something to the winner of the tournament, it doesn't have to be anything big. Hit us up. We would love to entertain the idea.
I think someone should donate a car, because, this is a driving songs list.
Or somebody could donate I still have one. Remember the cassette tape that you would put into the car that had a cord that you could plug into like an iPod or anything? So if you still had a cassette player, you could play music through your car. I have one of those.
Yeah. Wow. So if nothing else, you could just give that away.
Yeah. So if nobody else steps up to sponsor it, that is what you are competing for.
Cassette adapter, so you can play your cassettes, because a lot of people have cassettes still.
Yeah. That basically just sealed the fate of this whole thing. Nobody's going to submit a list. Like, I don't give a shit about that thing.
I got an 8-track player too.
Yeah.
Really.
All right. So it won't beat that. We'll have something better.
All right. So fast driving songs, right? Like, here I am, like on a highway. I'm not telling you, illegal. Really.
I'm not telling you what my driving songs are, because there's different mindsets for how you drive.
Okay.
So apparently yours is fast.
Maybe.
Mine's not. I'll say that.
Mellow driving.
Yeah. Cruising.
Country road driving. Okay.
Yeah.
I live in the country. We drive fast because we have to go many miles. True story. Yeah. All right. Powerlifting situation, Josh. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You were signed up for the Masters of Iron at the Arnold.
That
You're
was
thinking of dropping out.
That was so redneck. The Masters of Iron.
Masters of Iron at the Arnold.
All right, sorry.
Wait,
Continue.
all right, let's start over. You're signed up for the Masters of Iron at the Arnold, but you're thinking of dropping out strategically. If your goal is to get to the 2023 Masters Pro Series Finals, is this a big deal?
It can be. So just as an example, how this is working, the Masters of Iron is a pro qualifier, a Masters Pro qualifier. So if you win Best Lifter by dots with the age coefficient, that's best overall Masters, you get your Masters Pro card. So if you're not really in contention for that, then it doesn't really matter because you can't get Pro Series points or your pro card. So dropping out of that's not really a big deal, but you would still have to do nationals. However, if you are in contention to potentially win the Masters Pro card there, that actually is a big deal because now you can actually earn your Masters Pro card and get series points. So that would count as meet one. And then you can do nationals, see how you do, see how you place. So even if you don't do well at nationals, you still have your pro card, which means you're going to be ranked against all the other pros at nationals. So you can earn points there. And that keeps you in the pro series. If you don't do nationals, or if you don't have or earn your pro card at nationals, you're eliminated from the 2023 pro series. So even if you have a terrible meet and don't actually score any points, you're still technically in the pro series because you had a pro card and competed at nationals. If you bomb out, then you're out, but you have to have a total.
Right.
But I guess then the flip side, if you do really well at nationals, that actually gives you the luxury of maybe not even having to do the Virginia Pro at the end of the year, because if you scored well enough that mathematically you're not going to get eliminated from the Pro Series finals, you don't have to. And if you're right on the bubble, that gives you the luxury to know, like, okay, I need to go do this meet, the third meet, to defend my spot in the finals. So it kind of puts you in the driver's seat if you are, able to earn your Masters Pro card at the Masters of Iron.
So when you have such a specific situation, it always makes me go, do you have a lifter maybe that's going through this?
Yeah, we always have lifters that are in pretty much all these scenarios.
Right. So not to give them direct advice, but to talk it through all the way.
Yeah. The catch is they probably don't listen to the podcast or to me in general. So either way.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a new lifter tip. All right. When you're new, don't be afraid to ask questions if something isn't clear. So what I meant by this when I was writing this was to say, like, there's a lot of, language and lingo that people that have done a meet a couple times might know. Like when we talk about flights, I remember the first time doing a meet and being like, flights? What the hell are they talking about? There's no airplanes here. Like, I didn't know what they were talking about. Flights A, B, C. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So, but then I was like kind of too intimidated to ask because I'm like, well, everybody else knows what that means. So, didn't ask, just kind of went with the flow, and I figured it out later.
Who was your coach? They should have told you about that.
That'd be you. But I also didn't tell you that I didn't understand what that was. Like I was, there's that intimidation factor when everybody else has done meets before and you know that you're that new person and you're like, what are they talking about? Like, what is this language that you're speaking that I don't even know what you're talking about? And I didn't want to fess up and be like, I don't know what that means, which would have been the more reasonable thing to do. But I think sometimes we just forget that we have a different language than people off the street. Ask questions. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I agree. And most people are even other lifters are usually more than happy to answer questions. Like if you're just not a jerk about it, like ask respectfully and genuinely care. Like, people come up sometimes that know the answer and they ask sarcastically, like, oh, what time do weigh-ins end? And it's like, they just got done weighing in at right at the deadline because they were spitting and cutting weight and they think they're cool. And I think that gives a bad taste in people's mouth too, because you see other people almost just being a jerk about stuff. They clearly knew the answer and they're just like making a big fuss about it. But what was the question? I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole here. Did you ask me a question?
No,
I don't know.
no.
Right.
I was just saying, don't be afraid to ask questions.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now.
But we have a good time. We have a good time.
Yeah, agreed. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I'll leave it at that.
There you go. All right.
Quit trying to over explain. I'm the reason people don't ask questions because they don't want whatever answer that was I just was trying to give.
That's probably it. That's exactly it.
All right.
Nice.
Let's wrap this up. Don't forget to submit your top 5 driving songs. We're going to have the link in our bio on Instagram at PL Ballads Podcast. You have until Valentine's Day to submit that list. And if you're not following us on Instagram, please do so. And if you do enjoy the podcast, please leave us a nice rating and review. I'm told that helps.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. We don't really know, but
we don't know, but we've heard. So do that.
Yes. Yeah. So other than that, we will see you all next week. Later.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.